SEC Media Days have concluded, and Brent Venables had a lot to say that might have shocked Oklahoma fans or maybe gave Oklahoma fans a little bit more ease as we go into fall camp, heading to, I think, we're within 40 days of the regular season starting. So football is right around the corner. Of course, we got to talk about a couple of the things that Brent Venables talked about at SEC Media Days. I'm just getting back from vacation, work trip, so I've been trying to get caught up on all of the news going around, but we're going to discuss it. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe button so you can constantly be brought up on what's going on with Oklahoma football, Oklahoma recruiting, which is been kind of felt like in the dumps for a while. So we're going to take a break from that for today. But we got to talk about some injury news that Brent Venables talked about, which didn't really talk about a ton of injury news at SEC Media Days. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he just really doesn't want to talk about it and jinx anything going into the regular season. But he did give an update on Giovanni Gibson, who was going to be one of the big-time wide receivers for Oklahoma this upcoming year. In the spring, he ended up having an injury. But he gave an update, and I originally saw it on Twitter from Sooner Scoop, but I don't know if he talked about it in the SEC Media Day, like General Scrum, or if it was with just specific reporters. But Sooner Scoop originally put out Giovanni Gibson is out of his boot and working to get back. Brent also provided some other updates that morning. This is good news for Oklahoma, right? Getting Giovanni Gibson out of the boot, maybe back in some workouts, potentially back in this lineup within the first couple of weeks is great. You know, right now you've still got Jermichael Carter. You brought in Satanga in the portal. Obviously, you're getting Deion Burks back. I don't know what the timetable looks like for Jaden Gibson. You've got the true freshman in Elijah Thomas, who everybody's really excited for. But Giovanni Gibson was going to be, outside of Jermichael Carter, that dude at wide receiver for you this year. At 6'2", 210 pounds, last season at 70 receptions for a little over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. With John Mateer never having this type of size that he's had this year, you expected for this wide receiver room to be big. And I think a lot of people go, well, how are we sure it isn't going to be like it was last year with all of the injuries? And I think that's what Oklahoma did, right? They looked at a lot of the guys that had been here long term and seen the injury prone, and it was like, hey, like, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to go a new direction. Bring in some fresh guys, bring in some fresh faces in that room, and maybe you hopefully won't have those same issues long term. Now, I do also think it's important to not rush Giovanni Gibson back so soon. I think that's maybe part of the problems that you had with wide receivers last year, rushing them back before they're actually ready. So I do want Giovanni Gibson to take the time that he needs to actually get healthy so that he can perform well. If that takes till the Auburn game to happen, it takes till the Auburn game to happen. But it'll be interesting to see whether he's out there in that first game taking a couple reps, or if we don't see him till Michigan. I would definitely imagine that is truly Oklahoma's start of the season when you play Southeast Illinois State in the first game. I don't imagine Oklahoma really counts that as their first game of the season. Michigan, I think, is going to be the team that we're looking forward that weekend ahead to. Going to be prime time. So, but you've got Jermichael Carter in that room, so he's also 6'2", so gives John Mateer a little bit of size alongside Deion Burks and Satanga, who I believe Satanga's 5'10", but Deion Burks is 5'9". So yeah, you definitely want a little bit more size there. Getting Giovanni Gibson back, maybe even Jaden Gibson later in the season would be awesome. So Oklahoma, though, it feels like they're making a lot of moves because Brent Venables talked about some of the younger guys that he feels like are going to take a step up this season, and specifically mentioned 2 guys on the offensive line, which was another piece where Oklahoma really struggled last year. And this is great news if you're an Oklahoma fan, because these are 2 dudes where we talked about them heavily on the recruiting trail. We were really excited about them. And Oklahoma fans, for one of them last year, was really calling for this guy. And that's Eddie Pierre-Louis, right? He thinks he is going to take a step up. I think there's a lot of people who believe that he will be potentially in the starting lineup this season. I don't know if he starts over Hito Zaida, but it would definitely be interesting to see if he can crack that rotation. And if he does, you kind of wonder what some of the other guys in that room, what their future potentially looks like for Oklahoma going forward. But I mean, EPL obviously was a guy that everybody was super excited for, super athletic. really great frame. And so if he's able to take that leap this year and move into the starting lineup, this offensive line for Oklahoma is going to look pretty good. And don't forget about Jake Michaela, one of the guys you got through the transfer portal that probably will play center for you this year, right? That is another guy that Jim Nagy and the staff is really excited about. So I think this offensive line has a lot of bright spots. But he also mentioned Daniel Akinkumi, who, if you guys remember, Oklahoma got in on him, I think, pretty late in the 24 class. Remember, from across the pond, hadn't been playing football too long. So he was one of those guys that was rated as a 3-star, but I told you by the end of his career at Oklahoma, we could have been looking at that guy and saying that should have been a 5-star recruit because he had a lot of upside. There was a lot of ability for growth and development. And what is a better coach to come do that under than Bill Bedenbaugh on the offensive line? Daniel Akinkumi played soccer, so soccer has a good relation to offensive linemen when it comes to foot movement. And so I'm really excited to see Akinkumi. This is a guy that I've seen many times when I've been on campus, had a chance to talk to him multiple times. Great dude. Really excited to potentially see him crack the rotation this year, right? Get in that rotation and see what he's made of. I definitely think, he's going to be a starter at some point in his career at Oklahoma. But lastly, Brent Venables talked about tight end, right? He talked about the tight end room and somebody that, is kind of sticking out there. And he believes Caden Helms could help in 2025 at tight end. Now, this is also big because remember, in that 2022 class, Caden Helms is one of the few guys that stuck it out with Oklahoma through a coaching change. And, he said that he had a really good, strong spring, had a great summer. He needs a great fall camp so he can reach his potential for why he recruited him and why he came to Oklahoma. But this is great news if you're an Oklahoma fan. You haven't got to see a lot of Caden Helms. There's been a lot of questions around, can this guy be what we thought he could be? A lot of people have thought maybe we should move on from him. Really excited to see if Caden Helms can finally put it all together on the football field, have a strong season. And if so, if Caden Helms is able to be that guy for you in the tight end room, I no longer worry about the tight end room because I definitely think you're going to see Jaron Kanik have a lot of play and a big role in that room because I think he's an extremely athletic guy. And from what I've seen so far in the little that I've seen from him, I think he's going to be a great weapon for John Mateer in the pass catching game. Now, Caden Helms, a little bit more of a true tight end, been playing this position a little bit longer. Obviously, I think he could bring a completely different skill set for you, but really excited to see him on the field. This is one of the guys that, if he goes out there and has a good season, like this is a feel-good story. And if he has a good season, Oklahoma's offense is definitely probably where it needs to be to go out there and win 10 or 11 games. So you love to hear that update from Brent Venables. But obviously there were a lot more updates on SEC Media Days. If you want more of those, definitely go over to Unfair Sports. Go check out Jay's content. He was at SEC Media Days, so I know he's had a chance to kind of break a lot more of it down. We're just going to try to get caught up at this point on current news instead of trying to play backlog, but these are a couple things that I really wanted to talk about because I think they are important, and it definitely shocked me a little bit to hear Brent Venables kind of talk about some of this. So join the discussion, jump in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button.